Terrific. Well, I'd like to introduce then James McCartney. And James is, have a couple of things in common with him. One, we're both vets. He's an Army vet. I don't hold that against him. But we also have in common that he graduated from Michigan State. I graduated from Florida State. And both of our teams went out of the tournament in the first round. Jim, I'm proud to say, has a terrific experience as a journalist. We sent around a little bit of his background on the internet, but basically he's worked for Knight Ridder, I think that was the Chicago Tribune at the time.
Chicago Daily News.
Chicago Daily News. He tells me that he's had bylines from at least 25 different countries, at least is the way he puts it. He's written a lot about the Middle East. He's familiar with that, and he just has tremendous experience in the journalism field. He did a lot of work on nuclear weapons, did you not, Jim?
Yes, I did.
Yes. And so it's my pleasure to introduce James McCartney and hear what he has to say about Washington. I know that he has a little story about meeting Rumsfeld. So,
well, I want to correct you on something rather important. Michigan State actually went to the final.
That's not my recollection.
I don't know where Gene was. Florida State was knocked out. Well, thank you. I have spoken to this group once before. I don't know how long ago it was, but it was at least 3 or 4 years. And when Gene asked me to come on this occasion, I told my wife I'm kind of worried about this because these folks know where I'm coming from. And she said, don't worry about it, they're old, they'll forget.
I'll get Molly for that.
She was right.
Okay.
Well, she mentioned, yes, I am a veteran.
I'm going to take my business to Walgreens.
I was what you might call cannon fodder in World War II. I went into combat, I was just a kid, I went into combat in Alsace-Lorraine in the fall of 1944 and spent a lovely winter in the mountains. I would not recommend it to my unit was decimated, and I was lucky to come out alive. But this experience made a profound impression on me. I thought then, and I think now, that war is madness. I'm aware that the history of the world largely is a history of wars. I joined the Veterans of Foreign Wars after I got out of the Army, largely because my dad was in the American Legion and he wasn't eligible for the Veterans of Foreign Wars because he hadn't gone overseas. But I quit after a couple of years after I became familiar with their national policies. It seemed to me that the sense of a veterans organization, if anybody had anything like the experience that I had, would be to oppose wars. And what I found in both the American Legion and the Veterans of Foreign Wars is it seemed to me that they were on the wrong side of the issue most of the time. That's why I admire this organization, and in particular, this organization's opposition to the madness in Afghanistan. We can talk about that a little bit later if you want to, but the subject of this talk actually has been billed as Who Runs America? And I want to tell you how I got involved in this question and in this situation. I worked I started in the newspaper, I went to Northwestern to graduate school, and I started in the newspaper business working for the Chicago Daily News, which was an afternoon newspaper, but a very good one. And in 1960, I was sent to their Washington bureau. But I was the new guy in the bureau. So after Kennedy was elected in the elections of 1960, all of the focus and attention of Washington was on the new administration of Kennedy. So the old timers in the bureau were all covering Kennedy, and because I was the new kid, they assigned me to the outgoing administration, the Eisenhower administration. As a result of that, on January the 17th of 1961, I covered Dwight Eisenhower's most famous speech, the military-industrial complex speech. Now, what actually happened was I didn't know what the hell he was talking about. And as a matter of fact, a year later, at a Kennedy press conference, I managed to find a seat in the front row and asked Kennedy if he was familiar with what Eisenhower had said in his farewell speech and whether he thought this was a problem. And Kennedy said, quite frankly, yes, he did think it was a problem. He thought it was a very thoughtful speech. I went in sometime after that.